Hey everyone, thank you for joining us, Zerocool podcast. In studio with us today, or in the Beat Lab, I should say, Chris, Whyb Gerard, and Steve Marxx hanging out with us. Gentlemen,
Woo!
welcome.
Hi, Parker.
You didn't introduce my DJ name though.
I'm sorry, with the two X's.
DJ Steve Marxx.
DJ
Steve Marxx.
Yes. This is awesome to have you guys here. A couple of things we were talking about off air before we started. One of them was we were just talking about the term Aunt Jemima Fine and how the recent rebranding of the brand is now. Was it Pearl
It's
Mining?
like Pearl Mill. I don't know, a mining company syrup or something.
I'm actually more of a Mrs. Butterworth.
I just switched. I switched to
guy
Butterworth
anyway.
because I'm not buying that new shit that rebranded Aunt Jemima.
Just like how's you go like when you're walking and you're like, where's the Aunt Jemima? And you're like, what? Like if you're used to a brand and all of a sudden you're like, where the fuck? Where is this now?
Where's the Lucy Pearl Mining Company edition?
That's an absolute
It's a
mouthful.
Yeah.
I'll say this though: if anybody needs some Aunt Jemima, still they have it at the. I swear to God, they have it at the Walgreens in Grand Ave. I saw it like yesterday.
I think I'm gonna pick a box up just to keep it. That'd be like an awesome relic to show to people 20 years from now, being like, back in the day, there used to be the Aunt Jemima pancake mix.
I love that there's nothing in the Grand Avenue Mall, but there's still a Walgreens there.
No, you want to know? Okay.
Is the food court still kind of popping off? Or
They just put the sign on 2 days ago. It says like the Avenue or something. It's gonna be the food hall.
Okay.
So that's like almost done. And then swear to God, brand new Foot Locker. A whole new build out, new store Foot Locker just opened up like a week ago.
I used to go to the Foot Locker in the Grand.
Downtown is thriving.
Dating myself
Yeah.
late 90s.
Yeah.
All the time.
I was constantly in the
All the
Grand Avenue Mall.
Yeah.
That was the spot back in the day.
Yeah.
I've
But
been
now
going.
it's like you can go in like the Foot Locker across the street now, or across the hall from it is like you can buy like a bunch of like fake jewelry and stuff like that, or like fake grills and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the heyday when everything was still bustling. Get your airbrush T-shirt.
Oh hell's yeah, dude!
Yeah.
Get some custom artwork done, or the sketches that they always had. Like you get like the one of like Michael Jordan or like Kobe or whatever
On a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could do the framed, like the stencil and stuff like that. When was it? Was it Boston store was the first one that moved out, and then it kind of just went down from there.
Yeah, I mean Boston Star like held on for a really long time, and once that was gone, there's no reason to even have a building. Sorry, am I even talking into this thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, pull the mic up to your mouth.
I keep forgetting that there's a microphone here. I've never been in front of a microphone in my life, so it's all. I don't DJ really. It's all make believe.
So that's part of the reason why I wanted to have like other DJs on. Like I know what my personal perspective is of what the life during a pandemic and trying to DJ is like. What has it been like for you guys? Like, what have you guys done? What have you been interested in doing? What are you guys moving forward with? For myself, it's been kind of difficult, like especially with not having any gigs coming up. I'm just unmotivated to do anything. I listen to music still, but I don't want to. If I don't need to build my library for anything, I have no interest in sitting on my computer for hours and just putting everything in the crates and designing an outline for a set in my head. Chris?
I mean, middle of March 2020, right? I went from DJing 4, 5, 6 times a week to having 0 gigs. I've had 2 live gigs. It's been almost a year. Some of it has been by choice. Some of it is just the venues that I was playing at stopped having DJs.
Mhm.
A lot of that for them was financial, which I totally understood.
Yeah.
And I tried live streaming a little bit here and there, and I was throwing mixes on Mixcloud early on, and at some point I also lost my motivation. And it kind of bummed me out because I'm like, okay, do I no longer care about DJing when I'm not getting paid? And I don't think it was as much about the money, like all 3 of us, but when you don't have people to share music with,
Yeah.
whether it's new music or you're refreshing your classics crates or whatever, without having people to share that music with, I also kind of lost interest in keeping up with new music, digging for, again, fresh classics. But I have found that I've actually become almost more of a music fan again, in that I'm now listening to whole albums.
Yeah.
Whether they're new, whether I'm going back to my favorite shit from the 90s that got me into DJing. Because obviously the way we operate, it's all song-based.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh, did you listen to so-and-so's new album last week? I'm like, no, just the one song that I play at the gig, which is kind of sad. So I guess there have been kind of pros and cons to all of it. And losing the income was a con. But again, just losing having a place to go and share that music with people was as much of its own con, because I could go get a job, you know, I could drive an Amazon van if I needed to, but not having the juice of the crowd.
Yeah.
You know,
I
being around those people, being in front of those people, entertaining, interacting, getting drunk with those people, all went out the window.
I agree 1,000%. It's hard to be motivated to play a gig when you're like, well, would this work? Would this work? You don't get to see the reaction from people when you're doing it on a live stream.
Right.
And it's hard to gauge. And that's like, it was interesting during the summer, and like I started going full swing back in September and October. I started doing like full schedules again. For me, I was literally asking places. I was like, can I do a warm-up gig somewhere?
Right.
Because I just want to see how people react to the music that I'm playing, to the stuff that I'm doing, because I hadn't seen a reaction from anyone in so long, and you don't get that in a stream whatsoever.
I mean, I will say, if I can interrupt you, that certain friends of mine, acquaintances of ours, you know, who have managed to pivot, and not only do they perform well on their live streams, but they get that interaction from also following and interacting with the chat.
Yeah.
I am not good enough at what I do to do what I do well, and then also be watching a chat, be getting on a mic every 30 seconds, like, hey, welcome to the room. But I noticed people who have gotten really good at that, you know, Bizon being one,
Yeah.
Kid Cut Up, who we talked about before we started recording. Those guys do a great job.
Exactly.
It hasn't worked for me, and I don't know if it's because I haven't done it enough.
I was going to bring up Bizon because of the fact that, like, I catch, like, his stuff is constantly, like, a highlight that comes up in my social media feed on a regular basis, that I was just, like, I see it, and I'm like, I can appreciate it, because I was like, this guy's doing it. And, like, you can take a look at the chat, and you're like, holy shit. Like, but I agree 100%, where it's like, I don't have the capacity to be able to figure out what I'm doing on the fly and be able to talk to people at the same time, where I'm like, I'm trying to select what I'm doing and handpick everything. Are there a couple of routines in there? Yeah. But trying to be able to come up with something custom and new every time, because I always just assume that the people that are watching watched it the last time, and I don't want it to be like similar to the last quote unquote episode.
You feel like you got to come with something new
every time
you do it. The other thing, thinking about it now, looking at the three of us, is we're not the most microphone guys when we DJ.
Yeah.
We're not on the mic a lot. And I think streaming and interacting with your chat, you have to be on the mic more.
I am not a personality.
Well, but again, like people like Cut Up or a Bizon, they already were incorporating that in their live sets way more. You know, I'll go 4 hours, and the only time you hear me get on the mic is like, hey, everyone, could you please get the fuck out? It's time to go home. You know, that's a lot of nights. That's the extent of my mic work, is just, you know, or the joke like, hey, if you have the red Toyota parked in the lot, your lights are on, you know, like it's very functional. Whereas, you know, Cut Up is a guy who talks to the crowd. Bizon is a guy who talks to his crowd when it's appropriate. So I think those guys were able to take that
and transition it well.
Yeah. Whereas my pivot is I'm just working retail full time until we'll see what happens in another 6 months or whatever. But
Steve, I'll pose the same to you. How has everything been going through the pandemic so far?
I mean, let's see. What have I been doing? I can't say I've been doing a whole lot of anything, to be honest. I've just kind of been thinking about the rest of my life, you know, not to be too deep, but I feel like, especially now, I've already been kind of not DJing as much or kind of pursuing it as much. So
like you were already not pursuing it?
Yeah. I mean, I was. It's like one of those things where if I'm asked to DJ, I'd like to DJ, yes, but like I'm not actively go getter. Like I need to have like 10 gigs this week because, it's like it's always been one of those things where it's yeah, like I said, I've never like pursued it. It just kind of happened, and as long as it's still just happening, I'm happy to do it. But like especially now, like I have no desire to be on Twitch or to have build a audience, whatever. I do, however, want to be in a room with people. You know what I mean? It's again, it's to me, DJing was it's just like a social. It was my social life essentially, because now it's like what do I do at all anymore? I don't know. I sit around the apartment with my cat.
I found it hard. Like I can kind of touch on what you were saying there, is that I found it hard coming out of this, where it was like I was playing 6 or 7 nights a week, to not playing at all, where I was like, there was the comfort of, oh, this is only gonna be 2 weeks. All right, cool. I'm gonna chill out at home, hang out, spend some time with my dog. And then I got this weird depression because I hadn't been seeing people at all. That I wasn't interacting with people. Yeah. And it really bummed me out.
I remember the three of us getting together to go for walks. Yeah. And that was the extent of my social life outside of hanging out with my girlfriend. Yeah. Which was great. And then that's another thing I do miss about DJing is like I always enjoyed DJing with you.
Same.
I enjoyed DJing with Steve. I enjoyed, booking events where I got to bring in 3 homies and everyone would play an hour, but you're all hanging out in the booth and, not to be cheesy, but like we're doing shots together and you throw out the high five. Yeah. So I miss that aspect also.
There's a lot I miss. Like, number one, like there's certain things that like stick out where it's like, the first thing that comes to my mind is that you always did this really great job of being able to pull out the perfect retro track at the perfect time. Mm-hmm. Where like it always sticks out in my head, and I started playing it, and it dawned on me, I was like, I'm playing this because I hear it with Chris all the time. Right. It was T-Pain and someone else where it was like, all right, you know what? I can't remember the name of the track now. It's gonna make me nuts. But there was a track that you played on. I was like,
up down.
Yeah, up down.
Yeah. Booty going up. Down. Yeah.
And I was just like, it was one of those, I was like, this is the perfect track for right now. And it was something I hadn't played at all. And I was just like, there was times where like I'd be warming up in a set and I would play it and I'd be like, I'm playing this because Chris plays this.
Right.
And I miss having that, like, the interaction where it's like all of a sudden you drop a track and you think of Steve, or you drop a track, you think of Chris, or you drop a track, you think of Eric, because it's like one of their signature tracks that you initially just put with them because you're like, oh, that was a great timing for it. It sticks out. I miss that. I miss, man, more than anything, I miss playing Jackalope. That is one of my favorite rooms in the city to play. It's one of those unique places where if you play the right track at the right time and the room's full, you can hear an instant reaction where you hear people go, oh
yeah, it's the best. Yeah, it's the best.
There's a handful of rooms like that in the city where it's like, it's not too big, it's not too small, but it's just that perfect size. Mikey's was a great venue, like when they did that back room, where you were up on stage and that room was packed real easily. And if you played the right track at the right time, you had that crowd like right in the palm of your hand. And it was amazing because they kept eating it up. You could just throw bombs at them all night. And all of a sudden everyone's like, dude, it's 2 a.m. We got to turn the lights on. And you're like, holy shit, that night went quick as fuck.
Well, I think part of it, at least how I see both of those rooms that you mentioned, Mikey's and Jackalope, is people went to those places on certain nights to drink and dance and party and have a good time. Whereas, we've played other spots where it's a brunch gig, it's fun, but it's a different kind of fun. Or we've played places where people are there to, like, quote unquote, see and be seen. They're almost too cool to really get into what we were doing. I also think what you were saying before about, you'll hear me play a song a few times and then you notice that you start playing it. I missed that part of it, but then also, again, when we would play together, that we would kind of play off each other. Yeah. Like we do Taylor's and say we swap every half hour. While you're playing, I'm like, all right, well, what am I going to get up after Parker? Like, what am I going to do? And again, if you're live streaming by yourself from your bedroom or your studio, what have you, that other person isn't there, So a handful of live streams that I've done in the last year were with my buddy VPS from Madison. We still get that vibe, All right, 20 minutes, like,
it's your turn, and we can like hand off the headphones and we can cheers a shot. And I think even the people watching at home appreciate our camaraderie, even if it's through, your phone screen or your laptop or however you're watching.
Camaraderie. It's a good
Camaraderie.
word. It's a good word.
Romance, right? Right? I mean,
Bro dates.
yeah, for sure.
I'm just here for ad-libs now. Just keep talking. I'll just... That's it. Also, can you just give my like an auto tune on my voice too? Can we do that?
Actually, this might be possible. I bought the Prime version of OBS, so like
Built-in auto-tune.
there might be a built-in auto tune. I don't know. Honestly, big shout out to my little brother who produces the show. He has gone through and just put everything together. I just kind of sit back and go, just make it work.
I was kind of curious what your setup was going to be coming in here.
This is very professional.
So, you were definitely one of the first people that I saw, not necessarily live streaming, but like you made the Twitch move.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, it worked well, sort of like what E-Rich was doing, because you guys were playing videos.
Yeah.
So it's not just a box with you in a corner, like trying to show off your lack of turntable skills.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed watching those because I didn't really watch a lot of music videos through my entire life because I've never regularly had cable. And so before YouTube and before, pre-internet again, to date myself, if you didn't have an MTV, if you didn't have a VH1, you never saw videos. So there are even classic songs that I've been playing for 20 years. I would never see a video until I start watching you on Twitch, or I start watching E-Rich on Twitch, which I loved. And then I think it eliminates the need for as much chat interaction.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I've always enjoyed video. I've always encouraged venues to do it because of the fact that if you're that dude or you're that girl that comes in and you're waiting for your friends, rather than burying your head in the phone, you're up looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're up looking around, you're actually somewhat approachable. So that makes it an easier social interaction, whether it's the bartender talking to you, the person next to you talking to you.
Some guy trying to get your phone number. Or,
whatever
or
it
girl.
Is. Or girl, or guy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever
Or
floats your boat.
Or beep, bop, boop, whatever the heck they are.
Yeah, for sure.
2021, everybody.
Yeah.
Non-binary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't deal with labels.
See, that's funny though, because on the flip side of that, I've noticed, like, if you're at a place where there's a good sized crowd and you want them to be dancing, I've noticed that sometimes half the crowd is just doing this.
Oh, they're just staring up.
Like, you're standing in the middle of a dance floor, not dancing, and you're just staring at the screen. I appreciate that you're enjoying watching the video, but you've now kind of blocked the flow of the other people. I don't.
Eric and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like if he's done like a really good edit.
Yeah.
He'll look down at the crowd and the crowd stops and they're watching the video because they've never seen it.
Which is fine.
Yeah. But it's hilarious because I've seen him do it and I've seen what he's talking about and I was like, oh no shit. I was like, that just happened. But it's funny because as soon as you transition out of it, it's like they go right back to what they were doing before. Or they'll glance up for like a hot second and they'll be like, oh, you remember this from like the 90s when we were in high school and blah, blah, blah. And I always love it. I think it's great. And it's relatively cheap to be able to do it, to wire all your TVs to do that. So I've always encouraged venues to do it. And then like, for example, with Taylor's, someone literally gave me that projector. Like I put a post up one night. I was like, hey, does anyone have a projector for sale? And someone showed up at Taylor's who to this day, I still don't know if you're listening. Thank you.
You got a free projector?
What does Parker owe you?
Yeah, what do I owe you?
Oh.
Do I have a bill outstanding?
Sick.
Can I take you out for drinking for a night? This person literally dropped off a box and was like, hey, I saw you put up a post about needing a projector. You can just have this. And I was like,
sick.
Cool.
And I like literally looked at it. I was like, there's a VGA cable in here already, and I was like, I have a VGA adapter. That night, I used it.
All set, yeah.
I was like, this is absolutely brilliant, and I've been using it ever since. And this was years ago. Yeah, like a venue like Taylor's, like I had no problem with installing that. And then on top of that, like Jimmy and his brother Dan got behind me, and they were like, we're gonna hook up our TVs to be able to do that as well. The unfortunate part is that to be able to do the projector and the TVs at the same time, I told them I needed a splitter, and they just never got the splitter. And now it's a year later where I was like, oh yeah, we should totally get the splitter. A year later, and I'm like, well, I still haven't DJ'd since
right
the day before St. Patty's Day.
So you were saying you went back to a sort of normal gig schedule September, October.
Yes.
What was that like?
So it was great because of the fact, well, there was a couple of things. Excuse me. Number one, I was really nervous to play in front of a live crowd again.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I hadn't seen how people reacted to what I was playing, like when I was streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I was literally asking, I was like, hey, can I do workout sets at any venue? Where I was like, hey, I charge this, I'll literally chop it in half. I just need a crowd to play in front of to like be able to take notes of what works and what doesn't work. Thankfully, I was able to kind of go back to what I did, and I kind of took a look at some of my old sets, listened to some of them, and I was like, I like this, and tried to build off of that and try to pick up where I left off. It was fun at the time. You could be up and moving around. You didn't have to be seated like you were right now. I think you still had to wear masks. People had them, but they were pulled down, and people were drinking and stuff like that. It was fun. I was playing Uncle Buck's. I was playing Brothers. I was playing McGillicuddy's. I think those were the only 3 venues I was playing at, and I was doing like two dates a month with each of them. So it basically set it up so I had like 1 weekend off a month.
Sure.
But it was fun, especially like after Brothers opened up.
Because they had done a huge remodel, right?
They dropped $3 million on that place.
I walked by there the other day, and from the outside, it looks fucking huge.
if you're down for it, I'm doing the UFC event over there for the next pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Okay. You should definitely come with. Number one, it's an amazing card, even if you're a casual fan or have no idea what's going on. Number two, it gives you the opportunity to take a look in there, and what they did in there was just amazing. They bought the framing store that was right next to them.
Yep, and that place had been there for
65
forever.
years.
Forever, yeah.
They bought that, tore it down, turned it into a patio, redid their kitchen, and then redid the upstairs and just did a complete remodel. The place is amazing. It has this new vibrant energy to it, and Brett and James Hernandez are over there doing an amazing job on having that place work out, especially with what they're dealing with now. You know, middle of a pandemic, it's hard to keep staff when they're not really making money and stuff like that. Like when I was there for the last UFC event, Brett was in the kitchen like flipping burgers, and James was like making drinks and stuff like that. So those guys are on their toes 14 hours a day and doing an amazing job at it as well. Excuse me. But going back to what I was saying before about Brothers reopened, and like I said, it was a rebirth for that place, and it was like 7-8 years ago when I first started playing there, is that there was all these young college kids that had come in, and they just wanted to have a great time, and playing in front of that crowd was like playing in front of like 5,000 people. And they were singing along to everything. My girlfriend who took off one of the nights to just kind of see what was going on, she was like, they were singing the entire Killers Mr. Brightside to you. And I was like, yeah, that happens. Yeah. She's like, they know that song? She's like, every kid in that crowd is like 21, 20 years, 22, 23 years old. Or like all the stuff that like I play that's like Blink 182 or like MGK's song and stuff like that, people were singing along to it. And she's like, this is just an amazing thing to observe.
Which is hilarious because half the songs I play, I don't know all the words to. Right? Of course, I'm also always listening or thinking about the next song.
Yeah.
I'll catch myself singing along to the song I'm queuing up. And I'm like, if anybody's trying to read my lips right now, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
But yeah, I did a bunch of gigs over the summer. Actually, me doing the McGillicuddy's one is July 5th is how my girlfriend and I got together. It was her birthday. She came out with one of my friends, and I hadn't seen her in a couple of years, and we ended up just talking and catching up. Like immediately after my set was done at like 9 o'clock, because at that time, I can't remember what the restrictions were, where it was like, they're like, we don't want to do DJs past 9 o'clock because it makes the city happy somehow. So
I gotta tell you, I was really bummed because I assumed there would be a lot of patio action last summer for DJs and just for a place where people could more safely be out because you're outside.
Yeah.
But I think so many venues had taken such a hard hit being closed for those couple months that people were hesitant to spend the money
we had been doing Iron Horse brunch gigs and it was patio. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have these brunch gigs. It's the weather, it's gonna be great. And every week or 2 weeks when the next gig would roll around, they would hit me up and be like, yeah, we're not really ready to put DJs back in our budget, which kind of sucked because we only get so much patio time in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And my whole summer, again, my schedule it all went away.
So as far as Iron Horse goes, there was an article in Milwaukee Journal from back last January, not this past January, the January before, about how they had switched management companies, and I think that's shout out to Jordan who brought three of us over for that.
Yep.
For their Sunday gigs and all the other stuff that they did over there. They changed management companies, and it had to do something. I'm paraphrasing the article. The owner came in, filed an injunction, pushed that management company out, brought other people in, and I don't know if that's what it was a forced transition, but it was, coming out of. So I'm trying to remember how this goes. I remember not this January, the January before. I was getting ready to go to Vegas. We were talking about this off air. I was heading out to Vegas to go catch the McGregor Cowboy fight. And the week before, I was supposed to play a Sunday at Iron Horse. And one of the staff had emailed me and said, hey, look, you can still do the gig, but they're not going to have a check for you right away. And it's up to you if you want to do it or not. And I was like, you know what? I've been doing a million of these. It's perfectly fine for me to take the day off. Pointing to the Journal, apparently they had owed a bunch of people money, and vendors didn't want to work with them anymore because of the fact that they had this outstanding debt, but it had to do with the transition with the management. So having said that, like when I had to work with them over New Year's, it was kind of like I had done the same thing where I was like, you guys don't have the greatest of reputation. That I was just like, hey, look, if we're going to do this, if we're going to do anything moving forward, again, stuff that we were talking about off air. I had done the New Year's gig for them and so on and so forth, and I had asked them to pay in advance because of the fact that they had this real scathing review in the Milwaukee Journal on them.
But it's funny you say that because I had heard from people in-house there. And again, I've had nothing but a good experience dealing with them. But I have friends who were working in other capacities at the hotel. All the time we were doing brunch, and every couple weeks I'd bump into someone and they're like, hey, have you been getting your checks? Like, this and that. I got my check every time. I never had a problem. The communication with Jordan that I had was always great.
Exactly.
Very detailed. She was super on point.
Jordan, if you're listening, you're amazing.
Yeah.
You were an amazing person.
Thank you just for being you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
So I personally never had any issues at all. I also know that sometimes people don't like where they work. They want to spread a little dirt. They exaggerate things. So I don't know how much of it maybe was that. Not to name any of those people.
Yeah.
Running their mouths on the side. But yeah, again, I just assumed that last summer we would all be playing a bunch of cool outdoor parties, events. But I also understand businesses that were like, we were closed for 2 months or 3 months, and we just don't have the money right now.
On the other side of that too is, it's a hotel. It's their business isn't probably liquor and food.
Right.
It's probably mostly rooms.
Right.
Where it's like, if you're in the middle of a pandemic
and the rooms aren't being booked.
Yeah.
Right. And
you don't have a ton
and the Iron Horse again it's an example.
Yeah.
I don't know. I expected there to just be more patio parties, and maybe I'm thinking of this in a very abstract way because I don't own a venue, one with or without a patio.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of bummed. I'm like, well, we're just gonna party outside all summer.
Yeah.
And then I was just getting drunk on my porch. I wasn't like.
I'll ask you guys this, Steve. I'll start with you. As far as having all this free time to be able to actually enjoy a summer, for myself, this was the first time in probably 15 years I actually got to enjoy a summer.
Oh yeah.
I was out kayaking. I was doing everything outdoors possible, and because of the fact that I had so much free time, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna do the gym, then I'm gonna go kayaking, then I'm gonna go. The next day, it was like, I have nothing to do today. I'm gonna pack my my cooler. I'm gonna go paddleboarding. I'm gonna go do this. How was it for you?
I wish I had an exciting summer like you did. I don't. I honestly, I mean, I definitely, hit up the beach and stuff like that, but I can't pinpoint any specific memory other than, they're up pretty much summer for me. I walk around downtown and yeah, I don't know. My favorite part, I guess, like living downtown is that the Lake State Park, whatever it is, out on by Discovery World.
Mhm.
I like hanging out there. I can't.
Oh, where you can walk around
yeah.
the backside of Summerfest.
Yeah. And Summerfest
Yeah,
is always
yeah.
open during the day. You can walk through there.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like this whole entire year has just been a fucking blur for me. It's like 2 weeks ago I pretty much. I mean, it feels like 2 weeks ago I was like having like my last gig before all this, and then all of a sudden it's the same time, next year again already. But yeah, man, I wish I had more detail in my head right now about what I did during the summer, but I was not kayaking like you were. I was not living the summer of Parker.
I mean, like I said, man, I hadn't been able to enjoy a summer because it was one of those things where it was like you would have a day off and then a venue would get a hold of you.
Right.
And they'd be like, I heard you have the night off. Do you want to come play by us? And it's so hard to turn down the potential money that you can make
Right.
for playing a 4-hour game.
Right,
And it's
right.
like, you know what? I can go in there and they go, hey, this is the room, this is the format. And you're like, oh, I can rock this. I can rock the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
And especially as a venue you haven't played. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. I want to play here, definitely. But I've had so many of those come up where I had a day off and I'd have like plans to go do something. Then it's like they hear that you're off and they're like, hey, you want to come play by us? Or another homie in the industry is like, oh, you're off, dude? Can you come play by us tonight?
Right,
And
right.
it's so hard to turn those last minute gigs down. Where like I didn't have any of that stuff coming up. So it was easy for me to know that I could have a day, enjoy the day,
Yeah.
and not have to worry about, oh, someone's gonna call me to do this gig last minute, and I'm gonna be burnt out from being outdoors all day.
Well, and I don't know about you guys, but the way we all were living a year ago, right? You work nights.
Mhm.
We don't get out of a venue till 2 or 3 in the morning. You still go home, you unwind, even though you've already been drinking for 4 hours. You're up till 4, 5, sometimes 6 o'clock if you're really jazzed because you had a cool gig and you had a great set and you're just like stoked on yourself. Well, then you sleep till at least noon.
Mm-hmm.
You get up, you got to do your normal shit. You got to run your like. I went from sleeping like 4 hours a night because of just stress of the pandemic, which for me was mostly not having an income, to finally collecting unemployment, going back to work a little bit, but I started living my life on the normal, what's for most people is a normal schedule.
Yeah.
So if I'm sleeping from midnight to 8, I have so much more day that even when I went back to work, I could work that day, but I still had time to ride my bike. I still had time to go for a walk in a park. My girlfriend and I like to camp. We were able to find places to camp even when the state parks were not open for camping.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do that because I didn't have to work DJ Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, get up Sunday and play a brunch gig. So, we found a place to go camping this weekend. Well, again, you don't have other things to worry about. And if you guys are anything like me, if I have a gig at night, even when I wake up at noon, I'm already thinking about, okay, I have to be at the venue at 9. What do I need to get done in the meantime? Do I need new music? Do I need to organize music? It's hard to enjoy any daytime activity because that gig is always in the back of your mind. Whereas I think somebody who works a day job, you get up, you go to work. Once you're done with work, that's when you go do your recreational activities. So you've already finished your work day, whereas like if you and I could go kayaking at 4 a.m,
Yeah.
after the right? I mean that's like how again quote unquote normal people operate.
We'll
You
plan
work
that for
and
this summer. This summer,
Yeah.
4 a.m. kayaking.
summer of Steve this time. Yeah.
Well, and all that being said, the thought for me right now of not showing up somewhere till 9 or 9:30 and having to stay awake until 2:30 in the morning and entertain people, I don't think I could do it. I just because my life has changed so much in the last year.
somewhat for the better. I'm probably living a healthier life. I would imagine that we're all drinking less, probably sleeping more, sleeping better, eating better.
Well, that was the first thing that my doctor said to me. He was just like, take this time. He's like, actually sleep more than 4 hours a night.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Or sleep when it's dark out.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid.
Oh. I started getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was out by like 1 a.m.
But it's nice, right?
Yeah, it's not. And that was the thing, is that like being able to enjoy my summer had to do with the fact, a lot like you, I was getting up at 9 in the morning, letting Miss Paws burn out.
Yeah.
And I would pack a bag. I'd go to the gym. I'd leave the gym, and I'd be like, all right, cool. I'm going to go do this 45-minute commute, and I'm going to go paddleboard for the entire afternoon. Throw in some earbuds. Already had an awesome Spotify playlist. I had made out the night before. I was like, oh, I want to listen to some Glass Animals. I want to listen
Dude,
to
I got
this.
the sickest kayaking playlist
Exactly.
you've ever heard. That's hilarious. Oh man.
And for me, it was maybe it was me missing out on putting a playlist together for a crowd.
Yeah.
But I was like, what would be total paddleboard music? What would be total kayak music?
City Girls.
City Girls all day.
Mm-hmm.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Funny that you guys reference various artists, because the other pro for me of not DJing the last year, I don't have to pay attention to new music that I don't love. I won't even say don't like, because you know me, I'm generally not going to play a song if I really don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's the biggest song in the world and everyone in the room wants to hear it. If I really don't like a song, I'm not going to play it. But I don't have to worry about any of that shit right now, which has been kind of nice. And not that I was playing the most like current top 40 club gigs, but you still have to be aware
of what's going on.
Yeah, and it's been so nice to detach from that.
I will say this.
And I still keep a few of my like digital music services for when I do want to go poke around and just kind of, go on DJ City or what have you. But again, it's nice to not have to do that,
Yeah. I will say this, as far as 2020 and 2021 goes, is that female hip hop artists have completely blown up the game. I admire and have a ton of respect for him in the sense that Megan Thee Stallion has crushed it for the last couple of years. New artist Mulatto, amazing tracks. City Girls, like everything that those, and even Cardi B, all the stuff that they're doing reminds me of like that late 90s like Dirty South beat where like everything was produced by like Manny Fresh, where it's like that rapid hi-hat, but it had that like fat sound to it, where I think a lot of it was lacking for part of the 2000s, is that everything sounded real thin and everything has kind of become more of a thicker sound now, if that makes sense.
Yep. Do you feel like every 3 or 4 days a new My Neck, My Back comes out? Like there are like 20 new was Kia?
Yeah.
Kia.
There are like 20 more of her running around, and I think it's awesome.
I love it. I absolutely love it. What was the other one I was just thinking about the other day? I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, I was thinking about Kia and like all that whole Neptune sound and stuff like that. That Neck, My Back song was actually originally supposed to be a Britney Spears song. Britney had passed on it, and the Neptunes were like,
Really?
Yeah, and they're
That's
like,
crazy.
Wait, what? Hold on, what?
So initially, the My Neck, My Back track.
My Pussy and My Crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was gonna be
all of those-
that was gonna be a Britney Spears song.
yeah.
This
the
doesn't sound real.
The Neptunes had sent it over to her and was like, "Hey, is this something you want to do?"
Is that a Neptunes beat?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. I feel like that's all like pre Neptunes era, but like I don't. Yeah.
That was 2004, 2003.
Have either of you guys watched any of the?
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Well,
Either of you watched any of the Britney Spears?
I've heard about it.
Is
have
it
not
is
watched.
it a documentary or is it
It's so she's not in it. I watched it. It was on Hulu.
right?
Um,
Because I've noticed there are now a lot of I want to call them mini series, but a lot of these docu-series where what they would used to break down in an hour and a half, it's like 5-hour-long episodes. Some of them it's like too much for me.
the one on Hulu, I think, was about 90 minutes.
Okay.
And they don't really talk to.
So is it? It's a standalone
Yeah,
thing.
they report on. By the way, side note: My Neck, My Back was 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't list the producer on it.
I got it. Michael Taz Williams.
That is Michael Taz.
Michael
I
Taz
thought that was
Williams.
Neptunes.
I don't.
Where
Yeah.
the hell did I read that then? Maybe I'm thinking of a different Kaya's song.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I thought that was a Neptunes beat.
No, I guess not.
Okay.
Mhm. Moving on.
Moving back to the
Sorry,
Britney
sorry,
thing. No,
sorry
no,
to
we
like
can totally-
fact check the host here.
I
but-
also,
No, it's
I also
perfectly
think that for
fine.
the last 5 years, I've been playing a re-edit of My Neck, My Back, so I don't even know that I remember what the original beat sounds like.
It does have a very Neptune sounding snare
Yeah.
that it starts off with, so I could see where that would come into an assumption.
We're talking Britney. I watched. It's Britney, bitch. Whoop, whoop. I almost wore my Britney Spears shirt tonight too. I'm wearing what did I do? Wisconsin, the Wu-Tang one.
That's a good one.
The Britney doc I watched on Hulu, and they don't talk to her at all. They just talk to reporters. They talk to lawyers. They talk to everyone around Britney, but
Yeah.
they don't talk to her directly. It's unclear if she's currently still like in a mental institution by the end of it. Like,
I was just talking to somebody at work about this the other day that from what they had either seen, heard, read, word on the street, I have no idea that she's, I hate to say this, but still a nut job. And again, not to pass judgment on a woman who I know nothing about, could not pretend to understand the pressure through her entire life, you know, from child star to whatever. There were times over the years where I honestly felt bad for her, you know, and it was easy to make fun of her and, oh, now she shaved her head, or what's she going to do next? But it's like there was something going on in her mind or her life that...
well, you take a look at the time. TMZ
Yep.
was a huge thing.
The paparazzi craze of, you know...
around all those females
Yeah.
for whatever like everyone was fascinated with Paris Hilton,
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears. Well, here's the question: why are they interested?
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
they're hot.
Yeah.
They're cute. Like
Yeah.
they're all our age, but what about them is interesting.
23. We're
Yeah,
all
like-
23.
What about? I mean, outside Britney making music, what was interesting about Paris Hilton, except for the fact that she was just like kind of a. She
Well,
was like,
the interest is that they were famous.
yeah, but
And that TV show, and they just did dumb shit where they grew
I
up in
never
like
watched
the
it.
country or
Yeah.
something. That was a great
yeah,
one.
I never
With
watched
Nicole
it, so
Richie.
like I never understood it. But I was like, you people aren't solving world problems or anything like that. So why is there such this huge fascination? But on the flip side of it, there's no male version of that.
Can we talk about the Kardashians?
The Kardashians are male.
Well,
That one guy, what's his name? The guy, Rob.
Oh, you can't.
Rob? Or is
Oh,
that-
I was gonna say, I was like the
no,
dad who's
no,
now-
but you
Yeah,
Caitlyn.
asked
don't dead name.
But you
Caitlyn.
asked the question, what's so interesting, or what was so interesting about a Britney, a Paris, a Lindsay, outside of the art that they created, if you want to consider it that. To me, the Kardashians don't even create anything, but so many young people look to them as an example of how to live a life that none of us are ever... It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Like, so you're famous for being famous, and then somehow you continue to be famous or get more famous. I don't get it. Like,
I am curious.
is it because people like watching the train wreck?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Absolutely,
Can't turn
yeah.
If you see a car crash happening, it's hard to turn your head away.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so I imagine that there's a level of fascination with people that want to see that. It doesn't really interest me.
Honestly, I'm just jealous that I don't have a bigger butt and a shit ton of money.
Listen, squat rack. I'll show you some crypto shit.
Ooh, crypto for dummies.
We'll get you paid, son.
Oh man.
But yeah, as far as the Kardashians go, yeah, I mean, I'd love to have that, but I mean, at the same time, you take a look at the mental episodes these people have had, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll take my quote unquote small room fame.
Right.
Where someone goes, dude, are you Parker? Yeah, what's
Parker. I miss the old Kanye
that?
for sure.
For sure.
Should we talk about us some more?
Yeah, it's fucking good, dude.
It was a pretty good ramble from Kia, Neptunes, Britney Spears.
That's pop culture for us.
Yeah.
What's everybody doing right now? We've talked about the last year.
Right now,
Yeah.
You know what? I'm bouncing.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm working retail full time. Moto3.com for all your.
I don't know if
shopping
anyone knows,
needs.
but like I should probably let this out of the bag, but I'm secretly a millionaire, so that's why. That's why I do nothing. It's like,
Steve has gotten really, really good at making chicken wings.
yeah,
He brought them to my house for Christmas dinner, and they were amazing.
some good work I've been putting in.
Busy in the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's something I've been doing. I've been, I like to say that anything that I would get like takeout, I would like to just make at home all the time and not have to pay $1 million because although I'm a millionaire, I just I'd rather save the money and donate it.
Let me ask you this: with February being like obviously one of the coldest months it was ever recently, were you just burning money to keep your place warm, or was it like do you do normal like poor people shit?
I don't know if you know about my apartment building. It's free heat.
Oh,
So I got free electric. I got free heat.
dude,
I live the life, man.
you told me there was a 2-bedroom in that place. I might have to go over there now.
Yeah.
Podcast studio over there.
No, if that ever comes up, I'll let you know. But yeah, it's huge. It's pretty
Hells
great.
yeah, dude.
I mean, then you can just walk right downstairs and
And then I go to my day job.
I live above a strip club.
I
Just
work at
thought,
a strip club.
and he works at the strip club I live above.
Are you bouncing at the strip club?
No,
or
I'm DJing Monday through Wednesday at Silk.
on Juno or on
3rd Street.
3rd Street.
Yeah, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, they asked me to bounce over at Taylor's, which, with the health department coming in last week, I guess they were pretty happy I was there because I'm pretty like, hey, stay seated, put your fucking mask on,
Right.
don't be an asshole,
Right.
don't put everyone else's livelihood in jeopardy because you're an idiot.
And you don't want to behave.
Yeah, and I get, that's the hardest thing is just being like trying to explain to people like they go, COVID's fake or whatever the fuck idiocy that comes out of their mouth, and it's one of those that you go, hey, you understand that there's a bar back here, there's bartenders, there's waitresses, there's a manager, and there's owners, and you're gonna take away all their livelihood when someone walks in and goes, hey, here's a $20,000 fine,
Right.
and they can't pay it, or they have to sell their venue to pay the fine because you don't want to wear a mask. Understand that I get that there's no repercussions for you,
Right.
but there's repercussions for this venue. And the people that own the venue are friends of mine for 15 years,
Right.
and I don't ever want to see anything bad happen to them. And that's, how do you sum that up in 5 seconds for someone to understand?
Right.
Or let alone someone who's hammered. And it's just like, I just want a shot, I want to drink, I just want to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And it's like, no, man, you can't. It's a different time now. You gotta just listen, throw a mask on, stay seated, play by the rules. We're rule followers. That's all it is.
Yep.
Well, like you said, even if you don't believe in the reason for the rules, they're in place. Venues have to follow them. If people want places to go out, the least they can do is play along.
Yeah.
It's really.
Guess we found out that people are assholes. I mean,
We just figured that out
yes.
last year.
Yep.
Yeah. We found it out here first. But it's been challenging. From a personal, I don't even know if I should be sharing this. There's like 3 people listening anyway. Everyone knows I'm kind of a prick anyway.
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me, he goes, "You're not going to talk to me this way," and I went, "Or what?" I go, "You can leave." I was like, "No one's putting a gun to your head to keep you here."
Right.
And he's like, "You're not going to disrespect me this way," and I was like, "Disrespect you how? You're in our house.
Right.
These are our house party rules.
Right.
We're obviously breaking them. You don't give a shit. Kick rocks."
Right.
And he proceeded to tell me how he was going to kick my ass. And I went, "I'd actually like to see you try." I'm like, "What's the first move you're going to do? Are you going to throw a jab first? Are you going to throw a wild haymaker that I'm just going to duck under and hit you with an overhand right and just put you to sleep?"
Do you like how Parker not only analyzes UFC fights when he watches them,
Yeah.
he analyzes a bar fight that he might not actually get in?
I was really curious. I was like,
I know what I would have done. Throw you off and I'd tickle you.
Steve's like, "I'm coming to get you."
just all like shoulders up.
You would have actually probably caught him off guard if you did that.
That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have a counter move
You go
for the tickle monster.
Just tickle and right to the nuts, then you win.
Yeah.
My dad taught me how to fight.
Not to keep interviewing you, right? What are the vibes like at a strip club
Awesome.
during a pandemic?
It's no different.
So you walk in there, and are they not?
Everyone's seated to begin with.
Sure.
So-
But are there lap dances?
There are.
There
So-
are. Okay.
So
Do the dancers? Dancers, we call them that, right?
Yeah.
Do they have?
Entertainers?
Are they wearing masks while
They
they
are.
give you the lap dance?
Listen, I said this.
'Cause I think that'd be like low key kind of sexy, actually.
It's like Mortal Kombat, like
Here's
Melina and Katana.
Here was my
Jade.
perspective on it. Is that we had our first meeting before we were about to reopen, and I brought it up in the meeting. I was like, in all actuality, I was like, this is butterface here. I was like, if you're not an attractive stripper, you can totally cover that up with a mask
winning.
and just
Yeah.
crush
Yeah.
financially. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Like everyone is already seated in a club to begin with. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone wants that intimate interaction. Everyone's already seated at the bar to begin with,
Or at the stage.
Or at the stage,
Yeah.
yeah. So the only time that like you're not required to wear your mask is when you're drinking, and then like you can be in the couch room. I don't know the legality on how we got around it, but you don't have to wear your mask in the couch room, and you don't have to wear it in a VIP room. So I was like, all right, cool. I was like, so they realize that they're at risk if anything comes up. Cool, so be it. But all in all, everyone wears their masks. Girls don't care. The customers don't care.
Sure.
They want some sort of social interaction. They want to be able to drink, hang out, so on and so forth. And then they still want to, go up to the stage and do rooms and do dances and stuff. So it's the same. Steve came and hung out with me for a night.
It's
before
fun.
we did the New Year's gig. He dropped off his controller, and I just kept feeding him beers and made him hang out with me all night.
Yeah.
And Parker started quizzing the audience of, 10 people, whatever, about Genesis. And you took a survey of, Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel. And I don't think anyone was catching on.
You said Genesis and the Bible came to my mind.
Well, Genesis was a stripper that was there that evening, so that's what led to.
Even better. I like where that went.
She was cute. Yeah. Hi, Genesis, if you're listening.
So yeah, I think we played in the air tonight, and I took the survey of who was the better frontman of Genesis, Peter Gabriel or Phil Collins.
That stripper did the fucking air drum on the drop.
She did.
Yeah.
She hit that.
So
Yeah,
what
it was awesome.
What was the consensus?
No one had any idea what the fuck we were talking about.
And was the election rigged?
Definitely.
Yeah.
No one had any idea what we were talking about.
They were just like,
That's
Peter
amazing.
Who? Who the fuck is Phil Collins? Two 40-year-olds hanging out in the DJ booth.
Hey, 38.
I got another.
I mean, there's old fucks at the strip club too, right?
I'm starting to be one of those old fucks. I turned 40 in, I think, like 40 days.
Oof. Just get a 40 in 40
I
days.
mean, I'm gonna be 45 this year.
Oh, really?
So here we
I
are.
thought you were my age.
No.
Oh, you hide it well.
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm gonna be 35 this year. Sorry,
Yeah,
did that come out
I'm
wrong?
gonna turn 30 this year myself.
Oh man, I'm going back to work on Saturday.
Oh, really? Where are you playing?
They're bringing the quote unquote dinner theater back to Vagabond.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I feel 100% comfortable with. For myself, just because of the setup there.
Yeah.
You know, the booth, you're like 10 feet socially distanced from the nearest person. And
Yeah.
the only people that come in the booth are generally managers bringing me shots. So, you know, it's real easy to just...
Casadores all day.
Yeah, Casadores all day. I'm still not sure. I don't want to say that I'm not ready for it, but I haven't played in front of a live audience in any manner since September. I did 2 private birthday parties last year. It's also a low pressure gig because people are just drinking tequila and eating tacos.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just playing background music for them. But it'll be fun. Like a gentle re-entry into what I'm hoping is a year where, you know, we'll be rocking together again.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. Hopefully Steve and I will be, you know.
What?
That's still, you know what? The two of you together on New Year's Day a couple of years ago, where Kush Bula and I think Henry and I came in. You
Oh,
guys,
to Malone's.
Yeah.
For the
Oh yeah.
that was
the daytime.
that was one thing that didn't happen this last year that I was so sad about. The New Year's Day party for me at Malone's is more fun than almost any New Year's Eve gig I've ever had.
dude, it's
And of course I woke up and I'm hanging out at home with Dana, and within an hour all three Malones texted me and they're like, "Hey man, it's just not the same without you." I was like, "Fam, trust, it's not the same sitting on my couch having Bloody Marys and watching TV, you know." But whatever.
I mean,
I'll cry my beer a little real quick for a second here.
speaking of beers, hold on a
Yes.
second. You doing okay with that?
Yeah, I'm still good.
Brandon, you want to grab a round? In
I
a
could,
hot
yeah,
second?
I could start drinking now. I think.
Do you want a beer? You want a mixed drink? You want a scotch? What do you want?
The fuck, scotch. I'll do a beer.
A beer?
Yeah,
You want to grab a? I
got a
have
cardigan, but
312.
I don't drink scotch. You know, it's cardigans.
Do you want me to go do it?
Fancy.
Yeah, if you want to grab
I'm
it.
closer to the door.
Okay,
You
we'll,
can-
we'll keep Brandon on.
You
the
can
feed
make Steve talk more
then. All
while
right.
I'm gone.
So there's there's some 312. There's some Stellas in there, and there's Boddingtons. What would you like?
I'll do a 3-1-2.
All right, the 312 is in the lower right hand crisper.
you want another one of these?
Grab me one of those. Grab one for yourself too.
You want something?
Thank you,
Good.
thank you,
Brandon,
thank
you good?
you.
Okay.
I'll
be
back.
Brandon's still upset with me that I forgot his Mountain Dew. I ran downstairs earlier and I was
It's
like,
the
I was like,
it's
oh,
required payment is Mountain Dew.
I was like, hey, I got packages here. I'm like, before Steve and Chris get here, I'm like, I'll go around downstairs and go grab my packages. And I was like, hey, dude, do you want anything from the vending machine? He was like, yeah, grab me a Mountain Dew. I got so excited about my packages, I completely forgot about his Mountain Dew. Came back up and he was like,
Understandable.
where's my Mountain Dew? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, you want me to run back downstairs?
Gotta go up that mountain, get that dew, you know.
He ended up opting out for water. He's like, this is the healthier choice. And I got this glare from him.
When did they put that buzzer system on the outside of the building?
They actually just did that, like, I want to say they finished that in a week or two ago.
It's kind of sketchy, like, because it just has everyone's name and unit number on there. Why? Why do they do that?
Yeah, they got my government name on there.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, roamed these streets. That'd be a pretty ideal thing just to be able to look up whoever you want and then wait outside until they come out and murder them.
You might need a bottle opener for that. Yeah.
Hold on a second. There we go.
Boom.
You got
Just like my thank you, Dad and my dearly departed grandfather. Keep a bottle opener on your keychain or on your key ring.
there you go. Thank you.
Oh.
Goose Island.
I just, yeah, we got a little on the carpet. This pause for me getting hammered later. She's like, why is this carpet
Why is she not hanging out here now that started recording?
No,
No, she's not even here.
She hangs out under here.
Probably got a hold of Chris's almonds.
No, what she likes to do is, she likes to go sleep in my bed when I'm not in it, because I imagine there's something rolling over in the middle of the night that could possibly kill her, or it's just flagellant in the middle of the night, just killing her with methane.
Dog just hates your farts.
It's funny though, because like if I pass out on the couch or something like that and Callie's here, I'll wake up and I'll go upstairs. She's sleeping right next to her.
Yeah.
And then like that dog never comes near me.
Weird.
She's just like, no, 220 pounds of my father's is not good to have roll over on me.
Almost crush her once, then never again.
Yeah, I've honestly, it was one of those that I did roll over on her one night, and I noticed it right away and like woke myself up and was like, what the fuck? And she was just like, and like fucked off the bed.
So here's, I'm going to tell a cat story because that's just what we're doing right now.
No, go ahead.
My cat sleeps in my bed every night.
Oh.
And she put a little pillow out right next to me, and she always sleeps right on that pillow. Every night, routine, clockwork. It's sweet, isn't it?
Oh, that's nice, man. Yeah, Oz is just, she'll do like if I'm sleeping, she'll sleep on the other end of the bed near my feet. Excuse me. But she mostly, like, she has a bed right next to my bed, and then she has another bed in her room, and then
Bed right here.
And then she's got a bed here, and then
Jesus
she's got another
Christ.
one in the living room.
It's a fucking spoiled dog.
She is. I mean, you've seen her though.
Yeah.
She's adorable. You
She
just
is
wanna buy her
adorable.
Stuff.
It's like a trophy wife, but it's a trophy dog, you know.
What
She knows she's
what did I
cute.
miss?
We're talking animals. There are
Balvenie.
rounded I was gonna say there are rounded ice cubes if you wanted.
Oh
that,
my
on a rack.
fucking
Good,
god!
just a little sip. I just figured since we were talking about getting old, a little scotch seemed
it's
seemed
so good.
seemed appropriate.
It's so good. There's a Japanese whiskey that's sitting on the counter too. That
I
I
saw
got.
that. That looked.
We might have to bust that out after
That
this.
looked tasty.
Randon got that for me for Christmas. That was just like, ooh, we might have to bust this out. I've still yet to kick the top off of that, but tonight might be the night that we actually open that up.
Sure.
The hell were we talking about before we took a beer break?
Well, we started talking
Summer?
about what everybody was now doing with their
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah. Whether work related or
Yeah.
millionaire Steve Marxx has managed to not have to take a non-DJing job for now almost a year.
Yeah.
Are you Bruce Wayne in your free time?
I live where I live for a specific reason. That's fighting crime. I mean, someone was murdered in the alley, like years ago, Martini Mike's, You don't remember that?
No,
Okay.
I don't. Did you catch them?
No. I wasn't living there yet, but I'm sure it was Bruce Wayne's parents, is what I heard. So
Oh, okay.
the original story of Batman is from Milwaukee. If anyone didn't
Considering
know.
that Milwaukee has like the sleepiest downtown
Mhm.
of almost any city I've ever been in,
It really does.
Steve somehow managed to live off of the one intersection that's like slightly sketchy all the time.
Keeps the rent low.
I remember someone had said that because they live like a couple of blocks west of here, and they were like, "Yeah, we keep our property value down." I was like, "How do you do that?" He goes, "Every couple of weeks, just fire a couple of rounds off in the backyard, let people report shots fired." And I was like,
It's fucking brilliant.
brilliant.
Yeah. Jesus. Wow.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I was like, I'm not naming the person, but I was like, that's absolutely fucking brilliant. I'm like, I want to stay in this neighborhood now just to do that.
Yeah. Was everybody able to collect some free money last year outside of the stimulus check?
I got a couple of weeks of unemployment.
Was it the PUA?
Yeah.
Or PUA, as my girlfriend's uncle calls it. He's like, Chris, did you get your PUA yet? Because I actually filed against the day job. Because you could do that right away.
So I didn't get anything from my DJing gigs, but from working at Silk, that's what they based everything on.
Sure.
And I had Kush's girlfriend Vula kind of go over everything for me. She kind of became an expert in handling people's unemployment, and she was like, "Well, you can't claim anything as an independent contractor because you're you're not really employed."
Sure.
And I was like, "Okay, so then what?" She's like, "You can file against Silk." So that's what I did, and I was really debating about giving that job up right before the pandemic, and I was really glad I didn't, because it got to the point that I was just like, I was doing so well as a club DJ that I was like, man, I like it here, but like I like the fact that like I have something to fall back on.
Yep.
But I was like, I think I've kind of wanted to move on, where now that I'm not doing as much, I kind of found like a repassion for it, where it's like I stay up to date on everything now, whether it's rock, alternative, pop, hip hop, EDM, where like everything under the sun. I have to listen to everything under the sun because we have such a diverse group of girls that work there that want to listen to everything.
Yeah.
So I just try and stay up to date on everything. Where in the past it was so tedious for me to just sit there on a laptop all day and just listen to like new music, where it was like, I don't know what any of this is. Like, I don't know if this is gonna work at all. Where now it's like I'm kind of refining. This is how Parker got his groove back. But like, yeah, I'm having fun doing this again, where I don't think I had fun doing it for like the last couple of years. Yeah. Now it's starting to be fun again, where it's like I'm interacting and like I've refound that balance between the girls and the music and everything. But it's fun again, where for a while there it was just a job.
Specifically DJing at the strip club. Yeah. So you're not gigging anywhere else?
No.
Yeah.
Is
there stuff, like, not on our personal horizon, but is there any signs of progress toward places? I don't want to say reopening, because places have been reopened.
There's a couple of venues that have DJs.
I have friends constantly asking me if I'm gigging again, and I'm like, well, no, but partially because there still aren't those gigs, and the handful of places that hit me up when they started bringing DJs back, I felt like I was no longer the right fit for those places, because of my relationship with Vagabond. When Trinity started booking DJs again, they reached out to me and said, hey, we loved you at Vagabond. Would you like to come play some sets at Trinity? Well, again, turning 45 later this year, playing for 21-and-a-half-year-old college kids is just, it doesn't interest me, and I'm not the right guy. You know, you definitely need somebody closer to that age. Whereas doing, you know, the brunch gigs and the dinner gigs, or a place like Rogues Gallery when they were still open, Malone's, it's more of a mixed crowd. There are people there that are my age that I can relate to musically. So I don't know when I'm going to get back to doing much more than I am right now, because there aren't things to do for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, that was one of my biggest. I think I expressed this to one of you guys, where I was like, one of my biggest concerns was this entire pandemic is that I don't think people realize the talent pool that Milwaukee has. Being able to see how MKE DJs. By the way, if you're a DJ and you're listening to this, quick plug, MKE DJs on Facebook. It's where all of us meet and talk and basically bust each other's balls. But being able to see the amount of DJs that are on there, the amount of talent that's on there, my biggest concern was guys that were extremely talented in my eyes dropping off and not wanting to do this anymore because there hasn't been anything for them to do.
Sure. Well, and people have had to make some kind of pivot.
Yeah.
Whether, like for me, I went from working at the shop minimally part-time to I'm now there 5 days a week. So there's no way I could even get back to a 5-night-a-week DJ schedule without leaving the shop. And I've enjoyed the change, but also, you know, I've been getting paid to DJ since like 1999. So 22 years later, like most people don't have a career doing anything that lasts 20 years without making some sort of changes.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily want to go back to the amount of DJing I was doing before. But I want to go back to playing the fun gigs, the right gigs, you know, again, working with people that I like to work with. It's funny that you brought up, off topic sort of, but funny that you brought up Jackalope being one of both of our favorite rooms to play, and we used to play it together. I was at St. Paul Fish, had a little dinner with Dana a couple days ago, and David Stickler, call it David Shimmy, because he washes dishes and he does this. He works at St. Paul Fish Bar, and I overheard a customer say, hey, do you miss being over at the Wicked Hop? And he goes, honestly, I mostly really enjoyed DJing Jackalope Lounge and working with, or I enjoyed bartending Jackalope Lounge working with the DJs there. He goes, since they don't have DJs anymore, I don't want to be there. And I was like, aw, thanks, David. Like,
right in the feels.
Yeah.
Wipe the tear away.
Yeah, I was
enjoy
like, yeah,
lobster.
I miss you too.
It's a good lobster roll.
I was crying in
Fucking
my
awesome.
mahi, tears of joy. But yeah, it's funny.
You know, and that's probably the biggest thing I miss the most is Jackalope. I mean, I think, I'm not going out on a ledge saying this, I think all of us were all real tight together because we all hung out. Like, there aren't many gigs that I hang out at after hours anymore.
Sure.
You know, it's one
Where
of those...
we'd crack another beer
and hang out.
After we got paid, and
Yeah.
we would sit there, and the staff was super fun to hang out with always. Yeah, it's very true. Most you know, going back a year, most of my gigs, it was like, lights come on, can I get paid so I can go the fuck home?
Yeah.
And you're right, Jackalope was a spot where it was fun to just kick back, or, you know, it was a place where I always preferred playing with one of you guys.
Yeah.
I can do 4 hours by myself standing on my head. It's not hard at this point.
But it's always fun.
It's way more fun that every hour I got to hear you play, or I got to hear him play.
Plus that room when it's like you're like in everyone's face because it's like a stage. So there's that weird anxiety where it's just like,
sometimes it's
I just need to like not be right here right now, you know.
Or
Like someone else coming.
It's
Like,
nice having a friend just sitting there.
yeah. Comfort.
Yeah.
I need. Yeah.
The homie on the side. And that was always the thing with friends when they came through and I had to play there by myself. I was like, hang out up here.
Yeah, grab a bar stool.
Yeah. Hang out up here.
I'll order some wings.
I'll order some shots.
Yeah.
Just hang out with me up here. Because it's, I don't, like, it was something I had to address in the off time is that I didn't realize that being on stage in front of that place, like, that was one of the key places that gave me huge anxiety about being on stage. Like there'd be times, I guess I'm fine with talking about this, is that there'd be times where like if I didn't have like a good time to warm up, like a good 10, 20 minutes, and it was just like 10 o'clock hit and there was all of a sudden people like rushing in.
Or you'd walk into setup and there'd be 50 people in there like, what time are you starting? What kind of music are you going to be playing? And you're like,
Yeah.
I can't start with this.
Yeah, like
This
I would
pre-pressure of sorts, right?
my hands would shake when
Sure.
I go to touch the turntables at times.
Sure.
So like that, like the whole dynamic of it was weird. But like if I had like a good 10, 15 minutes of just being like, I'm gonna warm up, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna play this,
And then people start rolling in.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's right off the bat and it's that, if
Yeah.
people are like, what are you playing? What are you gonna do? And it's like, dude, I don't even fucking know, dude. I mostly make up shit as I go. I kind of have an idea and an outline
Yeah.
in my head of what I want to do, but to be honest, like I improvise, bro. Like if I see the crowd go this way, I'm gonna go with them. If I see them go that way, I'm gonna try and
Yeah,
follow them.
yeah.
You know, and it's hard to explain that to people. Where I mean, even me explaining this on this, do people really get what I'm saying when I say that? That there
Nope.
isn't.
Nope. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Sorry, folks.
Parker,
It's just
no,
complete.
It's no different than when you're starting to take your pants off. The performance anxiety kicks in like a motherfucker.
Just sweating. Can we get it darker in here?
Another side note, because I work in the 3rd Ward and I work a block from Jackalope and Wicked Hop, I occasionally have run-ins with Miles, who's one of the owners, and he has told me multiple times, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. We haven't forgotten about E-Rich and all the like, you know, we would like to, at some point in the future, get back to having rad dance parties at Jackalope Lounge. You know, if that's 6 months from now, you know, I don't know.
And that's the name of the night, Rad Dance Party.
Rad dance party. So y'all, run out, get your vaccine. We're trying to get back to these dance parties.
We want to do our rad dance
We
party
want
at
to have
Jackalope.
a rad.
You know, you're touching on a good idea there. Dude, the opening night when they get to go back and do this, I have no problem with coming in, taking a night off, and coming in and playing for an hour, whatever.
Well, everyone rock an hour.
Rock an hour,
Yeah.
hang out,
Yep.
catch up, fucking knock the dust off the turntables and have at it. I mean, of all places, excuse me, that's probably the place, you know, I talk about the most. I miss the most.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a ton of anxiety with it, but at the same time,
Well, but when
like,
it was fun, it was the most fun.
exactly.
Yeah.
My
And they always treated us really well,
dude,
which I appreciated.
there aren't a lot of venues that have that type of respect
Mhm.
that Jackalope seemed to understand for the entertainment that they had.
Right.
That excuse me, there are venues that are just like, we need a DJ, we're gonna go get a DJ.
Right.
But Jackalope went up and beyond out of their way, and they're like, we're gonna take care of our DJs, we're gonna make sure that they're paid well, we're gonna make sure that they have the right equipment.
Well, and I think they always understood that it did matter who was there.
Yeah.
You know, because there were times where I'd have someone come chop a night up with me because I had a homie in from out of town. You know, they had never played the room before. They would get on and do their set, and not to like toot my own horn, but they wouldn't do as good of a job as the hour I had just played.
Mhm.
And sometimes the staff would say something, and it wasn't anything against that guy personally, but it's like, man, when you're up there, people are more hyped because then they're drinking more, they're doing rounds of shots, they're buying me shots. So they had a healthy respect for people like us who
Yeah.
could go in there and really turn that room out when it was busy, which was rad. Plus, you know, those wings.
Dude,
I'm gonna bring them up a
I
second.
love breaded wings, man. They got good breaded wings. Mhm.
I always did the I think it was a Friday night that I would play. They always did like this bomb ass prime rib that like Bob would make, and I
Mhm.
was like, dude, save me a slice. I'd text him ahead of time. I'm like, save me a slice, bro. I'm gonna be there in like 45 minutes.
Yep.
Hit me with that baked potato action.
I mean, I know there were some nights where I'd roll in, you know, 9:30. We need a half hour to set up. I'd roll in. He'd already have all the gear set up, your laptop, everything would be rolling. You'd be nowhere to be found. You're over on the Wicked Hop just smashing a dinner. Parker's like, I'm rolling in early so I can set up, smash dinner, then we're gonna DJ.
Well, with me is that I'm such a slacker. Is that like I'll get up at like, I don't know, noon. I'll go work out for a little bit, and I come home and I'm like, okay, I'll make some lunch, hang out for a little bit, take the pup for a nice walk, maybe hit a half a joint, come back to the house, sit in front of the laptop, and then I just zone out. I zone out doing music, and then like I kind of get an outline of
You never eat again.
Yeah, and I would just be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I need
wanna
another.
finish.
I need another meal.
I'm like, I need to like if especially at a spot like Jackalope where there can be a night where you have like 2 friends roll in and it's a good night, but there's also those nights where you have like 20 friends come in and they're like, let's do a shot,
and everyone wants to do a shot with you. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Y'all got 20 friends? Now you're laughing. I'm serious. Anyway, they got a really good fish fry. I like their fish fry a lot. Yeah. It's really
awesome.
tasty.
Yeah, dude, you'd catch me like I'd either be on the Wicked Hop side or I'd be up in the balcony just fucking mowing down, dude. And I'd be like, okay, I'm ready for this shit now.
I would always just try to eat the wings while I DJ'd, and it was a horrible move.
Why?
Like, hold on, I'm trying to do everything with one hand. I'm putting stuffing wings in my mouth. Crossfade, EQ, fucking.
You know what? You can do it better with one hand than most people can actually do it with 2.
I mean, I'll accept that answer.
Just rocking a wing or just biting into it and be like,
right. Just hold it.
They make boneless.
That's true. The boneless are nice.
Nuggets.
They're nice.
It's not as enjoyable though. I agree.
No.
Bone in.
I think it's got the best wings.
Bone.
I've always been partial to Elsa's, Club G.
I've been getting wings from Pete's Pub on Brady Street. It's where Harry's on Brady was, and before that, it was Brady Street Hardware. I believe the wooden saw is still hanging from the side of the building, but part of that is proximity to my house, and part of it is I just think they put out really good pub food. You know, there's no salad on their menu.
Bless their hearts.
I'm not sure if anything comes with a side of vegetables, but they got killer wings. They do a great burger.
I got a wing suggestion that's probably unpopular opinion. Pizza Shuttle.
Really?
If you don't know, Pizza Shuttle, breaded wings. They do, kind of similar
There's no
to like
point
a
to
Jackalope.
order pizza from them.
Yeah, every day from 2 to 5, 60 cent. They might be a little more, maybe 70 cents now, but really good.
Dude, millionaire Steve over there is counting his 70-cent wings. All right.
Yeah. That's how I made my fortune.
No, that's how he stays rich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He took a year off from everything.
Also, I take the bus, so that's a big part of it.
I will say this. I said this when I first ran into you. You got in amazing shape during the lockdown.
Dang. I don't know if I'm in amazing shape, but I'm bored, so I go hang out at what do I call the Planet of Fitness, and it's one place that's been open pretty much the whole time, and it's a good place for me to just do something aside from watch TV with my cat.
Do they still hook you up? Like I remember hearing that they hook up all the memberships where it's like twice a month. They bring in pizzas and stuff like that.
You know what?
It's not the most COVID friendly.
That is that I being a gym, I always avoided it because I'm like, okay, what's the point of this really? It's like, I mean, it keeps you engaged, right? Like it's like you lose some weight, you gain some weight, you lose some weight. That pizza and the bagels, it's like it's a scam. But like I never ate it. Now that you mention it though, I haven't seen it probably since this all started. Which it should lower the price of my membership though, which is $10. So maybe I should ask for.
Without the free pizza, I'm only paying $9 a month.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But yeah, people would come in there. I don't know why I'm still talking, but people like literally come in there just for like the pizza night, and like I shit you not, would just like roll in there, scan their card, grab a whole pizza, and just fucking walk out the door. And I'm like,
they don't even hop on a
treadmill.
treadmill.
Like, no. I mean, even if you get like pizza and bagels, I think it's just once a month. But even at that, $10 membership. You got a whole
break even.
Yeah, it's you could feed
$10 pizza.
You could feed your family,
I'm adding them to my membership now.
Oh,
let me know when that pizza comes back.
We'll do. Yeah.
I want to come back. I just want to roll in, just do the scan the card, be like pepperoni, give me 2 of these.
And if you're real balls, you grab like fucking 4 pizzas. They're not gonna say shit.
I'm gonna grab a dozen bagels. I'm gonna grab 2 pizzas. Give the whoever's behind the counter like, here's a 5. You didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
He's tipping the towel boy for the free food.
Hey, you didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
They know me now, so they would never.
Amazing.
I'd feel guilty about that, just rolling in, just being like, "What's up, guys?"
Yeah, people suck.
Pizzas?
They suck. People suck.
I'm one of those people that suck, but I try and like hook everyone up around me, where I'm like, "Here's a $5, dude. Just look the other way. You didn't see nothing.
Tipping your fitness center
Yeah, exactly.
employees.
There you go.
Strange.
Listen, if I ever come in here and work out, I want warm towels. That's all I want.
So Pizza Shuttle though, Pizza Shuttle. I recommend the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I went to Pizza Shuttle. You and I did a gig together at Rogues Gallery. Man, last January?
Sure.
Oh, it was me, you, and Romka.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it for a Rick Jameson experience?
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Rick Jamo. I think that might be.
Is it Dunzo now? I didn't even think about that. Damn.
Yeah.
Where would be the new location?
It would technically have to be Elwoods.
Yeah, because I've only done it with Nate since like 6 months in or something from the very beginning. Because we started that at Most way back when. Yeah, everything has its expiration date, I guess. And
Fuck,
that's okay.
I didn't even think about that, man.
I mean, Twerk du Soleil was already done.
Oh shit!
Because of
that's
all
right,
the like
Bad Genie.
Well, because of Genie had been in like a weird flux of what they were doing.
That was a fun party.
Yeah.
Fond memories of that one.
What was your favorite party that you guys have done? Like whether it's a regular or like a one-off gig, whatever it was.
I mean, I would have to say, because I've been throwing my own events essentially since 2000 with various promotional partners, DJ partners over the years. So going all the way back to Wheeled, which I did at Ty Joe's from 2000 to...
Shit, you played there too?
2004. I booked a monthly Saturday. We had DJs or live acts play in both rooms, and it was some of the best times of my life. Went from that to doing No Request Fridays. Same weekend, like my party ended, No Request Fridays started. Did that with Cut Up at various venues. Steve eventually became involved. That was amazing. And then I think I went a lot of years just taking gigs. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but where I wasn't setting my own vibe.
Parties became like not a thing. It just became like just having DJs at bars,
which was still fun at certain places. I think until I started doing Twerk du Soleil, which did you do that with us?
Never did.
Man, not
always
one time.
wanted to.
And that in its heyday
Yeah.
was really, really fun. Like anything toward the end, like we'd have a really good Friday, and then a month later we'd be DJing for like 20 people.
I'd say like Genie in general, well, especially those parties, but like the best room. I think that's the best room in Milwaukee
Bad
to
Genie,
play.
another place where I felt always treated really well by the staff, got along well with the owners, a place where we would kick it after the lights came on.
For the most part, I think Eli was managing that for a really long time. And, as someone who he DJ'd as well, along with managing, I think he understood the perspective where a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, and Bonin and Rob, who owned the venue, also had one of them told me that he used to sneak into some of me and Cut Up's parties. Robert King, when he was underage.
Oh shit!
So he had not only respect for DJs, but like me and our crew in particular. And then Bonin was like more of a live music guy, but also appreciated a good DJ over just having any other dude in the corner hitting play on whatever. And the Rick Jameson experiences, of course, because of the whole experience of it, if you will. We have people painting, have different weird shit going on depending on the venue that it was at over the years. I don't know that I'm ever going to go back to doing any nights quite like any of those.
I always feel
maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the Players Ball.
Players Pub at Malone's.
Sorry,
and that's a thing that I would like to see come back. I don't know that I want to go back to doing any weekly gigs.
You wouldn't do that weekly?
I would like to see it maybe happen weekly, but I don't necessarily want to be... Nothing against the venue, nothing against any venue, nothing against any crowd of party people, but as well as I do that after you're DJing somewhere every Tuesday or every Wednesday or every fucking any day of the week, you do that one night a week for years, there's a burnout factor.
Yeah.
It's like anything you do in life, it starts to get a little bit stale, which is why I always preferred the monthly parties. And you make more of an event out of it.
Yeah.
But again, who knows? I could change my mind about all of that tomorrow.
Yeah. I like, there's a lot that comes out of that. The first thing I thought of was the fact that going back 20 years, I was thinking about like one of the venues I was playing at and the fact that they got offended. Like I was a resident there. I played every week and they were like, what are you doing talking to another venue about playing there? Like it was one of those weird things where it was like you could be a resident at that place, but you really couldn't play anywhere else. Did you have that? Did you guys have that as well? Or?
I actually, I was talking to someone about this the other day in a different context, but I definitely remember at least one venue that I played when I was kind of starting to, what I think was building a name for myself in the city. Mm-hmm. And they did kind of try to pull this like, well, if you're here every Friday, we don't really want you playing anywhere else. I'm like, if I don't play multiple nights a week at different venues, A, I'm never going to build up my own skill set, and B, I'm never going to build up a fan base, if you will, that I can bring to your venue, you know? Like, if I'm here every Friday and I'm here every Saturday, the people who see me on Friday might be like, oh, where are you playing tomorrow? Mm-hmm. I'm going to be here tomorrow. And then they start to ideally follow you around. And it was a lot different when I was in my 20s, early 30s, and I had a lot of friends who went out all the time. Well, if I only play at your venue once a week, I don't get any other practice time. I don't get any other networking opportunity.
And money.
Money. Well, yeah. And then what I have to do is be a guy who works like some shit full-time job, and I only DJ once a week. I don't know of too many other cities where anybody has had that attitude. And I don't know if it was at a time where like Milwaukee was kind of in its infancy as far as our club culture.
That's
but
what
like,
I felt.
You can't tell a dude he can only play at your venue unless you're booking him 4 nights a week. If somebody's like your in-house DJ, right? Mm-hmm. That's okay. And I just remember telling that person, like, I don't need to be here that bad. Like, if you're going to give me grief about booking other gigs, I don't need to be at your venue anymore.
I kind of got their perspective. In my situation, there was maybe a handful of clubs at the time. Mm-hmm. And Water Street wasn't what it is now.
Sure.
There was one venue that had a DJ. Everyone else had a jukebox, and it was a bartender, and they just kind of opened up or whatever. There weren't like the whole DJ culture hadn't expanded to what it is now, where you look at every Water Street bar. If you want to, I wouldn't say if you want to be successful, you can go your own route as far as not having a DJ, but everyone pretty much has a DJ. Mm-hmm. At the time, one venue on Water Street had a DJ. So when they asked me about DJing there, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm kind of interested." And then became the idea of, well, that's our competition, even though we're on a different block. They're open the same nights we are, and I was just like, I get it, but I don't.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, and I guess maybe for me, I was never playing at multiple venues in the same area, mm-hmm. you know? Even a year ago, when, again, things kind of fell apart and I lost gigs, like we all did all of a sudden. Tuesday nights, I was at Malone's on Brady Street. Thursday nights, I was doing Vagabond for dinner and then playing with you at Taylor's, which was Cathedral Square. Mm-hmm. I wasn't doing Fridays or Saturdays anywhere else in Cathedral Square. I wasn't playing on Brady Street anywhere besides the occasional guest set at the Nomad. So I guess for me, because each night I was in a different neighborhood, if you will, mm-hmm. I never felt like there was that competition.
Oh, okay.
And I think the venues maybe also kind of looked at it the same way, you know? Whereas, yeah, if like, say, for example, I would never play there, but say, for example, I'm at Joe Cat's one night, I'm at Malone's the next night, I'm at Hi-Hat Garage a third night, and then I'm at the Nomad a fourth night, that doesn't make any sense, mm-hmm. right? Like, I'm playing every night of my life within like 3 blocks. I could then see those venues being like, this is kind of weird for us.
Yeah. Where now it's that stigma's not there.
Definitely not. Definitely.
Yeah, where now it's wide open,
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, you're playing next door tomorrow night? Cool. We'll see you whatever night that we have you booked as well." But that also is a testament to how that DJ culture has kind of exploded, where it's every venue pretty much has a DJ now, where it's like Water Street, 3rd Street, Cathedral Square. I mean, there's 4 venues on Wells.
I live on the street, but I never walk down it. So
Belmont, Room 7, Taylor's, Sophie. Yeah, all 4 of them.
Oh, on Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Wells. Yeah. Well, that intersection, right.
So 4 venues, all 4 have.
Have you
DJs.
played Sophie?
No.
Because I know I see that Best Friends DJs, the duo. Do you know those guys? DJ Best Friends.
Know the name. I don't think I've ever met them in person.
See, and
Corey and James, I believe. Right?
And I saw that they started doing a regular night at Sophie, which until then I didn't even know that was a spot.
It's nice in there. It's cool. Like they did a really fucking good job building it out.
Yeah.
They have a good Scotch collection. While we're on the topic of Scotch, but yeah, it looks nice. I know WizKid was doing gigs over there.
Sure.
And I know, not Sopa. Who am I thinking of? I'm having a brain fart.
That's
and
all right.
I'm embarrassed about it. Dating Sam, who just had a birthday. Jesus. These. You know what? Here's the funny thing about this now.
I don't know.
Not drinking on Andy. Quaddy.
Okay. Yeah.
Not drinking as much as I used to. I have a beer and a half,
and you're just looped.
I'm just smacked.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I went to a dinner, or not a dinner party. I went to a housewarming party with Callie a couple of weeks ago, and I remember looking over at her like after I'm at where I'm at. I'm like a beer and a half in. I remember looking over at her. I was like, I'm smacked. I'm like, I just like it was one of those. I realized I'm like,
you just hand her the keys.
You're like, took an Uber. Oh. Thank God.
You're like, I just can't.
Yeah, and I'm such a lightweight now that like, especially because of the fact that, dude, on a regular basis, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, Sunday day into night was just do shots, have a drink here and there, and I would try to avoid drinking as best as possible. But now that I don't have those gigs and I'm not drinking on a regular basis, 1.5, and I'm like, how you doing? It's embarrassing now at this point that I can even call myself a Milwaukee.
Hey, at least your podcast studio isn't far from your bedroom, so
this is a crawl.
You'll be fine tonight. Right?
There was no joke. There was a stream I did. I think we were supposed to be 2 weeks in, and I was like, I did like on the 3rd week I started doing streaming, and people were like, "Oh, Parker, we're gonna do a shot every hour." I was like, "All right, cool," and I put down a couple of beers, a couple of shots, and I was just like, thank God. It was like 1:30 in the morning. I literally crawled up the stairs into my bedroom.
Thank God I'm at home.
And just, I was happy I was not out anywhere because it would have just been embarrassing. Or I probably would have ended up at Pizza Show at like 4 in the morning.
Hey,
get those wings.
Get those wings.
Get those wings. They're not a sponsor, but if they want to be.
The wing plug.
The wing plug.
So you spent most of the last year figuring out what you're going to do with the rest of your life.
I haven't figured that part out yet, but I thought about it a lot.
Thinking about it, I was going to ask, have you figured out?
No. It's
okay.
My great life journey is yet to be determined, but praise be to God, He'll figure it out for me. I really don't know. Like I say, like it's part of me is kind of a bit over DJing. Part of me is just misses it as well. But what I do know is that even when things are back to normal, whatever. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. It's going to be, good and bad, same places, same faces. And at this point, I'm almost kind of just like, I need something. I need a new journey. I need a new adventure.
I've enjoyed
excitement.
I've enjoyed the break.
Yeah.
Once I kind of got over the anxiety/depression of the beginning of the pandemic.
And it's been perfect because they've paid us money to not work. Mm-hmm. So
kind of.
I'm a millionaire. So
I'm definitely working.
Yeah.
Steve's plan for the rest of his life is to make another $1 million.
Yeah.
He's looking at a second.
Silver. I invest in silver.
But I think what you were saying about being at the strip club or being back at the strip club
that it kind of felt stale and it felt routine for you.
Mhm.
I think being forced to take at least a year or so off of DJing, I'm hoping that when I get back into it, I'll feel refreshed again.
Same.
I felt refreshed coming out of the summer.
Yeah.
And that's when September hit
From all the kayaking
and hanging and everything. When September hit and people started hitting me up to do gigs again, Uncle Buck's, McGillicuddy's, Brothers in October, I was ready for it.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I feel great. I feel recharged. I also realized that like I can take time off from this and go back and not like really miss a beat.
Sure.
The only thing that I felt that I lacked was like a spot like Brothers was the new music, but it's still one of those that like you can play whatever in the last 10 years and that crowd gets down to it.
And let's not forget Nelly Ride, the official anthem of Milwaukee. It will never die. God, I want that song just to go away forever.
Wait, Ride With Me or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you
Must be the money.
did you catch him on his New Year's Eve performance?
Nelly?
Yeah.
What?
He puts on a good show.
Nelly, what was Nelly doing on New Year's Eve?
He was one of the performers on the. It's not called Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve anymore.
Oh,
right?
okay,
Or
like the
whatever
NBC thing.
Yeah,
Who's
because
he
Dana,
gonna do Ryan Seacrest.
Dana and I watched some of that before we checked out Cut Up's New Year's Eve live stream, and it was awesome for me as a almost 45-year-old fuck because the like classic old school artists that performed, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side, every new super new artist that performed, I was like, A, I have no idea who you are, and B, you sound fucking horrible.
I saw Nelly at Dre's Beach Club in Vegas a couple of years ago, and it was one of those that I was in Vegas, I was hanging out. I think this was right after New Year's.
Dre's is a big hip hop spot in Vegas, right?
Hell's
From what I
fucking yeah,
hear.
it is.
Yeah.
My
I've not had the pleasure, but I've only been in Vegas once.
If and when you ever go, my guy Big Smooth is one of the door guys over there.
Sure.
He used to do that whenever I'm in town, he's like, Parker, we have so and so playing, and like him and I will usually grab dinner and hang out and so on and so forth. And one of the times I was there, he's like, we got Nelly tonight. You want to come through? And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck yeah, son. And he put on 3 hours and just was nonstop. He did all of his stuff. He was doing covers. He was doing acapellas and fucking with the crowd and shit like that.
Dope.
Puts on a good show. The last show I saw there, back in end of February, 2 Chainz.
Oh shit.
2 Chainz did an hour, and I was just like, I have the set list on my Spotify playlist, like what he did in order. It was just one of those. I was like, dude, this is such a good show.
Have you traveled much this last year?
No.
Like I haven't been on an airplane since last February. Actually, I was in Albuquerque, met up with my parents, and hung out for like a week.
I flew back the beginning of March, which was actually kind of funny because I flew back at the beginning of March to literally come back and DJ and go back to work and stuff like that. And I remember like our regional manager at Silk was just like, Parker, when did you go to Vegas? I was like, end of February, beginning of March. He's like, when did you get back? I was like, this time. He's like, you got to take a couple of days off. And I was like, why? He's like, you got to quarantine from our club for 14 days. I'm like, I was just here last week.
Right.
I was like, so I have to take this week off, which was St. Patty's Day, which I had already had St. Patty's Day off. I had to do a gig in the morning, and I was going to go see Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. And I was like, oh, and the Tuesday night, I was going to go see Chappelle. So I was like, I already had the week off to begin with. So I was like,
cool.
I was like, all right, well, whatever. I got Monday off now, too.
I love that you made the reference earlier that when we all lost gigs, almost immediately, middle of last March, we all thought, oh yeah, I'll take 2 weekends off, or I'll take 2 weeks off, and it'll be like, it's kind of weird and scary in the world anyway, so I'll just stay home and chill. And now I'm like, it's almost a year later. I've DJ'd twice.
Yeah. I think it collectively did 20 gigs from March of like the week of St. Patty's Day up until till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. It's fucking weird, man.
It is weird. It's just weird in general, just being in the industry. Like we were talking about this a bit. Were we talking about this on air? I can't remember if we were even recording it. Being a bouncer and like telling people to put a mask on and stay seated.
Yeah.
and it's just so weird that people are like, it's not real, blah blah blah. A mask isn't gonna help. Well, hey man, like we're just trying to follow the rules here.
Right.
This is the stipulation for being open. And hey, if you didn't realize it, the bar back, the bartender, the bouncer, the manager, the owners, this is their livelihood.
Well, and the best part about when we were all DJing, right? Not that you were dealing with masks because this was pre-COVID, but anytime anyone in the crowd was not behaving, you didn't have to be the one to put them back in line.
You could roast them on the mic.
Do you have a different respect for door guys now?
Well, I was a bouncer beforehand.
You were.
Yeah, so I bounced at a couple of gigs when I was younger, and then actually how I got into Silk was I was bouncing there trying to find a new radio gig when I first moved back.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that a DJ, actually Lee was DJing there at the time.
So random.
Really?
So he was DJing,
That's awesome.
and he didn't show up one morning, and so the owners were freaking out, and the older DJ that was there that night, his name's JJ or Jeff.
And I mean, I would imagine that was a strictly like a push play situation.
Yeah,
right. You're just
it wasn't mixing, it wasn't anything. But
next up, Candy, and then
you
you
got to
just
have that DJ voice and be able to talk and be basically the micro machine guy and just rapid fire shoot shit out. And the DJ at the time was like this 50-year-old guy who, as I was walking in at 10 o'clock in the morning, he had just gotten done like cleaning all the lights, refilling the fog machine. Had been there since 7 o'clock the day before.
This is Silver Spring.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is probably like 2005, 2006, and they were like, call him up and get him back in here. And I was like, guys, that guy was just here for like 20 hours.
Right.
It's now his weekend.
Leave him alone.
Like, how about this? Everyone chill the fuck out. Like, show me how to turn everything on. Like, I got a bunch of CDs in my car, and I'll just fill in till the DJ shows up. And I remember the owner looking at me being like, you know what to do? I was like, motherfucker, I did a morning show at 20. Like, trust me, I can figure this out. Just turn everything on.
Because you had worked radio for years before any of that, right?
Yeah, so at that point, I'd worked up in Wausau. I'd done a morning show at that point. I'd interned at a station, and I knew the layout for everything. And that's kind of where, like, I thought I was going with everything. Is I was just like, oh, I'm going to be in radio. Cool. Like, whatever. Like, if I could get into my dream gig, which was at the time was 102.1, I was like, cool. I have my career right here. I'll do my 20, 30 years, and then deuces, retire, being the world famous or Milwaukee famous.
Wausau famous.
Las Vegas.
And now you're 50-person capacity room famous.
Yeah.
like the rest of us.
Where it's just like,
I DJ'd for 40 people last night. It was amazing.
Or like if the lights are on, people are looking at you and be like, were you the dude playing at that gig last night? Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Dude, why did you play enough Chris Brown, dude? Let's play some of this, play some of that. They got
Chris Breezy.
That Chris Breezy. You didn't play enough Drake, bro.
Did Chris Brown come out with any new music in the last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it any good? No.
Like
no disrespect. Again, I've been paying such little attention. If I'm in the car, I'm not listening to like new radio.
For me, I just don't get how. Like, I get that it's popular. I just don't get how it's supposed to be club friendly.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't, like, maybe the warm up part of my set.
Sure.
I can play it, but people asking for it at midnight, I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? This is an R&B track.
Yeah, but people don't consider a room when they're requesting songs.
Yeah. Right?
They generally only consider themselves. How they're feeling in that moment. So, whatever. But Chris Breezy.
Hit me with that Breezy. Hey, Randon, where are we at for our time?
147.
Damn, we almost did 2 hours.
We didn't even get to the good stuff yet.
I feel like I said to Steve on the way here, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about or for how long, but of course, the three of us sit down and it's just like, bleh.
Oh no, it's super easy.
Yeah, it's fun.
You know, I have an outline that I usually do for the show. Like, I know kind of where I want to go, and then I just kind of let it naturally lead wherever it's going to go.
I mean, based on at least what you referenced in the Instagram post I saw, I think we touched on
just a bit of everything.
A little bit of our 3 or 4 main topics. You want stories?
You know what? Let's close this out with stories.
I got a story.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
And then we're gonna go to Steve and
Oh, God.
I'll try and
Pressure's
close out.
on. I'll make one up.
So early O's, I had a friend who had connections with Riverside Theater.
Mhm.
I somehow had the insanely awesome pleasure of being the DJ who opened for the opener for Dave Chappelle. First of all, probably the biggest crowd that I had played for in my entire life, because by the time the opening comedian went on, that place was full. And what's Riverside?
That's got to be at least 2,500, 3,000.
I think 3,000. So DJ for 3,000 people. Then during the opening act set, I was brought by Dave Chappelle's manager up to his green room, which smelled green as fuck. But I didn't get brought in there till the session was over. So I got to sit on a couch and talk to David Chappelle for a couple minutes while he's drinking his coffee and smoking his cig, getting ready to go on stage. And we just kind of hatched a little, like, I was going to play a little intro music. You know, we had this whole thing. And so that's it. He goes on stage. I get to hang out on the side of the stage and watch, you know, to this day, one of my favorite comedians in the entire world. And he gets done with his set. And he's like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, thanks for coming out. And like, Whyb is going to play me out or whatever it was. So I throw a song on and he dips and him and his manager are talking off stage. And all of a sudden, the manager comes up and he's like, hey, Dave's tour bus got stuck in traffic coming back to get him. We want to fill for a few minutes. And I was like, yeah, what do you guys want to do? And Dave's like, you got some instrumentals. And I was like, sure. He goes, I'm going to get some guys out of the audience. We're going to have a freestyle battle. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. So he brings two dudes, you know, hey, anybody want to rap? He gets them on stage. I start dropping beats and each guy takes a turn. And then Dave Chappelle's like, all right, fellas, my turn. And he's on the mic and I play a beat for him. And yo. He literally stops and he goes, just kidding, y'all. I can't fucking rap. Drops the mic on stage. Him and his manager go out the back door. And I never see them again. Probably one of the coolest gigs that I've played in, you know, my 20 years of... Just kidding, y'all. I can't rap. Literally, mic drop, fucking gone.
And, you know, you run right off that stage, and you go right out to the sidewalk and onto the bus.
And that was it. And he was gone. Yeah. So amazing. But I've told people in the last year or two, oh, yeah, I opened for Chappelle. And they're like, when he was just in town? I'm like, no, like 20 years ago.
Well, don't look at me with any sort of expectation here, because
should I have gone second?
I don't think I'm trying to think of an interesting story. Honestly, I cannot fucking, like my summer, I can't fucking think of anything remotely entertaining right now.
Did you not DJ at all in Australia?
Yeah, I did a couple. I did a couple times.
That's actually, I was gonna bring that up.
I've never played an international gig.
Oh, I guess, yeah, Mr. International.
Yeah, international affair.
So okay, there. They have this thing called Gumtree, which is, I mean, globally it's like Craigslist, but we don't use it really. I mean, have you heard of Gumtree?
No.
Okay. So I was just sitting around.
I've heard of the rubber tree plant.
Yeah, probably the same thing. I don't know. I was sitting around in Randwick. That's where I was living, in the neighborhood in Sydney. And just posted, you know, hey, I'm just from the States, because that's cool. You know, you're someone then if you're from a different country. It's like, you know, if you're from Chicago, they put on the flyer
DJ
Chicago,
Steve
and then
USA.
and then the place just fills up, and then girls are topless all of a sudden. But I just
retirement plan is to go to another country.
Yes. This is all what happened. And kangaroos showed up, and Crocodile Dundee. But I literally just posted like a little thing, a blurb on like their classifieds essentially, and like I shit you not, like within 2 hours, someone like fucking called me to play like a gig, and like it was just bizarro. Just, I don't know. That shouldn't happen that way. I mean, if I post anything on Craigslist right now, like, you know, saying I'll service you sexually for free, it would still take more than 2 hours for a response.
He's fishing for gigs on the Australian version of Craigslist.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it just happened, and then that's how I met like a bunch of people there, and you know, I still talk to some of them today. Yeah.
I will say there's goofy enough, there's an Australian DJ Zerocool who's a resident down in Australia.
Sounds
that
about
I've
right.
debated about. Hey man, do you want to come to the States and play a gig with me? And then I'll come down there and play a gig with you.
There's a DJ Whyb, but it's spelled the word Y, right? Like my name, but then the word BBE. He's like some techno DJ in Denmark. And I remember like doing Google searches like, there's got to be other YBs out there. And I'm like,
It's a pretty unique name.
who is this? It's the only one I found.
I thought for sure it'd be like that German bee.
There is another DJ, Steve Marxx, who actually, not like renowned or anything, but has some sort of, he's got like production and, actual music out and stuff and has gigs and whatever. But he is from England and then actually moved to Australia. And I think he might have been there while I was there. So maybe that's why I got called. I don't fucking know.
thought he was someone
No,
else.
probably. Who knows?
Like, did you order this guy off of Wish? What the fuck?
But like I used to get hit up like on like MySpace. I think it was MySpace. Because my
we just dated ourselves.
but
most of the guys that we know from Chicago,
yeah,
I met
MySpace.
in the MySpace
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Like DJ homies that I would then have come up to Milwaukee. We start swapping gigs, but so funny.
Well, I'll get some requests for like some progressive techno song that I didn't produce. Like, hey man, I really like that song. Can I get it? Like, oh, that's the other. And I've actually messaged the other Steve Marxx before, and we have a laugh. We're best friends.
That's a good time.
Anyway, so that's the extent of my exciting life. That's it.
My most exciting gig was this the 105th or the 110th Harley anniversary? I think it was the 110th. At the time, I was working with Jade Simone St. Clair from Playboy TV, and they were filming like the 110th, and they were doing like she was doing reporting, so on and so forth. Well, we had booked Kid Rock to play outside in the parking lot at Silk
Sick.
to DJ.
Yes.
So
I've heard that he's an amazing DJ.
So here's
Or
what happened.
was.
So let me explain. Like, it's not like I was booked to do this gig.
Right.
What happened is with John's ADD, he just didn't think about it, and all of a sudden he comes in and is like, "You want to open up for Kid Rock?" And I was like, "Sure." When he was like, 10 minutes from now, I was like,
10 minutes.
I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Like, now mind you, like Jesse James, dude from like the motorcycle show,
Yeah.
it's on the side of the stage. Like, there's celebrities that are like legit celebrities that are there. And I'm like rolling up, I'm like putting my mixer out, my CDJs, and like setting up my laptop and shit like that. And there is a 20,000 square foot tent with people just staring, and I'm like
Waiting for you to make the magic
yeah.
happen.
And so like I'm like, fuck, I don't even know what my first song is. I don't even know what the fuck I'm gonna play. And John comes up and he's like, "Yo man, crush the fucking crowd." I was like,
What?
"With what, dude?"
Nelly Ride.
Ride with me. No, you want to know what I opened up with? I opened up with Straight Outta Compton. I went to a Velvet
Alright.
Revolver
Fuck
show
yeah.
Sure.
recently,
Yeah.
and that's what they came out to, and I was like, fuck it. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
play Straight Outta Compton, and built my set off of that on the fly.
Yeah.
And then like Kid Rock, like all of a sudden I hear like everyone go nuts, and I'm like, oh, I must be doing like a really good job. I realized
was
Kid
standing
Rock
behind you.
standing behind me, and he's like smoking a cigar, and he's like,
It's like
eyeing me
flicking
up.
you off.
And I was like,
boo.
Chugging Jack Daniels, whatever.
I was like, all right, man. And he literally like leans over and he's like, hey man, he's like, how's the crossfader set up? And I was like, A and B. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, what's everything set up for? He's like, this, like we just went over everything like in 10 seconds. He's like, all right, cool, man. He's like, kill your track. He's like, he's got his laptop set up right next to mine. He's like, cool, kill your track. He's like, just vinyl break it. He's like, I'll just go right into my set. And he like comes out and he's playing like Seeger, and he's playing like, and he's just like mixing shit on the fly, and everyone's having a blast. Everyone's just eating it up. We have like strippers on the side of the stage, like on a pole and shit like that.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it's the middle of the day, and I was just like, I hopped off stage.
It's also Harley Fest. I mean.
Yeah. I hopped off stage. I'm sitting next to like Jesse James, like watching the show, and he's like, "Great set, man." I was like, "Thanks." That was nerve wracking with you standing right behind me. But that was probably the craziest. Tommy Lee was kind of a dick when
Yeah.
I had to play with him. Like, he was with DJ Arrow, and they were like, we're doing a video set, which essentially was Tommy Lee was just on stage. Like, he wasn't DJing. Like, he was playing with the video.
Yeah.
Like, Pioneer had those V DJs.
Yeah.
And he was playing with them, and you could tell he wasn't doing anything. And then he had like a MIDI controller, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I opened up for those guys, and I was like, "Cool." And then like afterwards, like I was like, "Hey, is it cool if I get a picture with you?" And he was like, "No pictures," like all this other shit. The goofy part about him is that he had like a fucking straight dime piece with him, like probably top 5 hottest girl I've ever met in my life. And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Is that Tommy Lee's girlfriend?" He's like, "One of them." Like, his manager.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah.
I was like, "What do you mean one of them?" He's like, "That's number so and so." Like, he had a number addressed to him. He's like, they hang out with him for a little while, and then they meet someone, and then they like have like a really good life. And I was like, "That's
Kind of
fuck
Kind of weird, right?
up."
Yeah.
But all right, he was just kind of a dick. Like, I remember like one of the partners at Silk had asked him to sign like a snare head. He was like a big Motley Crue fan growing up. And like Tommy had made this comment. He was like, "If I see this shit on eBay, I'm gonna fucking kill someone." And I was like, "Dude," I'm like, "I don't even think you realize the room you're saying that in. It's just not a good idea."
What a d-bag.
Yeah. So I was just like, it's like, all right, man. Like, it was not fun playing with you because you just kind of sat there and jumped around. But
Right.
all right, shout out to DJ Arrow though. That dude fucking crushed it though.
Shout out to the other guy.
Yeah. No, I remember him, dude. Like, I rapped with him afterwards. I think he was producing for like Crooklyn Clan at the time. But yeah, he threw a really good set for the fact that he had to play.
Where was
with it.
that?
That was at Silk. That was one of the anniversary parties. We've had DJ Arrow and Tommy Lee play together, and then we had like Bad Boy Bill do a set. That one was really fun.
I went to a Bad Boy Bill at Silk.
Were you there for that one?
It was at one time he was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there.
That one was fun. Like, we had Carmen Electra there, and then we had like Playboy TV there.
Karma
filming.
Electra was there.
Yeah.
I missed that part. I think I would have noticed that, but I guess
Yeah,
I guess
Carmen,
not.
Like, there's a picture of her on stage, and then like me in the background, like looking up in the wrong direction. I was like, "Fuck! If I was looking in the right direction, I would actually have like a legit photo with Carmen
Horrible
Electra."
photo op. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. The really weird thing is they had come up to me, and I didn't know like Carmen Electra did music. They had come up to me and they were like, "Hey, can you play Carmen's song? Like, can you mix it into your set?" And I was
What?
like, "Sure." I was like,
Totally don't have that one. Right.
I'm like, I don't have it. I was like, "Is there a way for you to get it to me?" So they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna email it to you right now." I was like, "All right, cool." At the time, Serato's kind of glitchy with bringing like tracks in.
While you're playing.
Yeah, so it was like one of those where I was like, "Let me play this new track really quick, and let me try and like put this on there and pray that this doesn't crash." So I put it on there and I listened to it, and I'm like,
Bad.
bad.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
It was essentially, hey man, I rap. Can you play this?
Yeah, and I was just like,
Yo, can you play my CD right now?
I'm also Carmen Electra though.
yeah. And I was just like, "All right, cool." And it was like one of those, like, John had come up to me and he's like, "Bro, just play your fucking song, bro. Just fucking play it." I was like,
Right.
"This is hot garbage, dude." I was like, "But all right, man, whatever." I was like, "We're paying her, and we still have to play her fucking music. She's paying me, but whatever." We played it, didn't clear the room out, thankfully, and then she came out on stage, waved, didn't sign autographs, and was just like, "And I'm out." At the same year, we had looked up trying to get Jeremy Piven from Entourage.
Yeah.
And it was like $100K, and he
Just
doesn't.
for him to come hang out.
No, not for him to come and hang out. Like, to walk through the room, say what, not even get on the mic, just like kind of wave. We get to announce that he's there, and then he just fucks off. So I think the year before, the year after, we got Johnny Danger, or what was the fucking brother from Entourage? Drama. That's his name,
Yeah.
Johnny Drama.
Hey,
Do you have $100,000 I can borrow?
I don't get the reference, but yes, I do.
Yeah.
I want Jeremy Piven to do just to do a walkthrough when we're back to gigging again.
Yeah, be like, "Jeremy, can you walk through the podcast?"
I
Just
thought,
like-
I thought you were doing an
fill the
Entourage
deuces up.
reference.
No, sorry. I'm glad somebody got that. All right, well, I've run out of good jokes, so
So, you know what? It's been a good time, man. Thank you for coming through, guys.
No, thank you.
This has been a blast, dude.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to do this every week, so. And I kind of want to bring everyone back on again
Yeah.
eventually. Once we get back to gigging and shit
Yeah,
like that,
for sure,
when we
for
do
sure.
our totally rad dance party over at
Yeah,
Jackalope.
yeah,
Totally
yeah.
rad
We can
dance
Totally
party.
rad dance party.
We can talk E-Rich into coming in and hanging out on Sunday with us. And
What's funny is that I feel like the general hanging out crowd at Jackalope would respond to a poster that said "This Friday, totally rad dance party." And they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Fuck yeah, I'll be there!"
line going down the block, everyone with their COVID vaccine cards. No cover if you got that vaccine.
right. Free masks if you don't.
Do they issue a card? Is that a thing? That COVID-
Yeah, you get like
Oh,
a
sick.
vaccine card for like when you get your first shot and then when you get your second one. How do
That's like some dystopian future shit. I like it.
and then you get it laminated?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it around my neck, like a lanyard.
Show it
I mean,
off.
I've heard people talk about concern that do you want to live in a world where you're not allowed to go places if you haven't gotten the vaccine?
You want to save that topic for next time? What do you want to do? You
Yeah,
wanna
no,
dive
no,
into
no.
that?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to get into all that.
Jeffrey Epstein is not dead.
Well, thanks for having us.
No, thank you for coming through,
And beers
having
and
beers,
scotch
and hanging out and stuff
Ozzy's
like.
here somewhere.
She's
Other bed around the when I peed.
Her other
She's-
dog bed.
her other dog bed.
Yeah.
She's got like 4 of them floating around. Hey, listen,
her.
we're the 3 of you that have tuned in for the entire podcast. Thank you. We're gonna do this again next week. Diane actually canceled for next week, so I'm trying to figure out who my guest is gonna be. I think I might have our friend who wants to talk crypto
Yeah.
next week. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Bitcoin for dummies.
Bitcoin for dummies.
All right.
I might just come just to learn.
Come through, man. Well, listen, thank you, everyone. That's all we got. We'll see you next week. In the meantime, mahalo.
Mahalo.